going to start by using the V chisel to just do the whole outline and come in a bit on some of these details. Right, I'm going to use this kind of rounded flat chisel to take away some of the areas here that I want to be a bit lower down. So for instance, I want this part to be lower than this, and then after that I want this part to be lower than that, so it goes under the ear. Then a couple of other little bits here. The tusk wants to be a bit lower there. The trunk here wants to go behind that tusk, and then this tusk at the back wants to appear like it's behind everything else. Alright, so I'm going to use this flat chisel again now just to kind of cut this area where the tusks are, like a stop cut, and then come in behind both sides to make it look like the trunk is going behind the tusk. I'm going to go back to a flat chisel again just to kind of get a curve on the trunk here. So I'm going to take out the areas on the edges, do these stop cuts here, and then come back with it and start curving the edges over. And just keep doing that all the way up and down the trunk. But obviously having to keep changing direction because of where the grain is. Okay, so now we've completed that kind of more complicated bit. I'm going to come up to the ear here, and what I'm going to do is get a small gouge, possibly this one, and just come underneath this top curve here, because I kind of want this to be a sort of bulbous lump that sticks out of the top. Looks like a kind of ridge of the ear. And then I'm going to take out all the area of the ear using that kind of flat curved chisel, so flat chisel that's curved in the end. And then also maybe another gouge, a slightly bigger one, just to take out a kind of scooped area, but not go down too far. So sort of start kind of deep-ish here, and then gradually get higher as we move out to the edge of the ear. And then I'm going to draw these lines back on again, and we're going to come back with the V chisel and cut them in. So now before I start doing the texture over the whole thing, similar to the ear, I want to take this kind of brow of the eye and sort of make that look like it's higher than the eye and some of the area underneath here. So I'm going to probably take this small gouge and we'll cut all the way around this line, and then I'll make all this stuff here lower. So we'll cut up this way and make it lower, and then we'll kind of round this over a bit, and then I'll make my eye, which will also be rounded over, you know, kind of like a ball, and then I'll add the texture to the rest of the face. And I'll talk to you about some of the comments in the last video, because we had some good ones about some future ideas. Okay, so while I work on the texture with this curved flat chisel, I'm just going to talk about some of the comments that we got in the last video when I asked people for ideas on what they'd like to see tutorials for, or just general carvings. AM Carver, long time watcher of the channel, he said he'd like to see some architecture or some doors from a cathedral or something like that, which I think is a pretty cool idea. You could get as detailed as you want with that, but also you could do some in a kind of simple manner. But I think we try and add some interesting details to that. Arson Movsesian says he'd like to see birds on a branch. That is another great idea. I do enjoy doing animals, and because we've done a moth and a cat and now the elephant, it would be great to add a bird of some kind and to have it on a branch as well. I think that's a really good idea, so maybe I'll start a design for that. The Mr. Woodsman asked me if I'd ever seen designs by Archibald Knox. Now, because I'm not a cultured person, I had no idea who that was, so I had to look them up online. And yeah, it has some really cool looking stuff. It kind of looks like knotwork, a lot of it, in a sort of Art Deco type style, I guess it would be. But you know, don't take my word for it, look it up for yourself. Has some very cool designs. I think that's a great idea. We could maybe make some kind of borders or a frame or something in that style. See what I can come up with. And Eric's Keens 5306 asked for Celtic knots, so very similar-ish, at least to my brain, of what the Mr. Woodsman said. And I do actually have a Viking carving coming up after this one, which is inspired by some bedposts found in a Viking ship burial. So that should be interesting. There's not really too much in the way of knotwork on it. In fact, I'm not sure if there's any knotwork on it. But I will do and some other ones with knotwork, because I know that's quite a popular subject and it is something that I quite enjoy. Morris Haynes 5820 asked for a locomotive or steam train. Now, I'm not even sure if I've ever done any vehicles before, carved them relief at least. So that would be a really interesting subject for me, and I would like to give it a go. I think we can get all kinds of interesting designs from that, so I will put that on my list. And last but certainly not least, my good old mate Mark McClooney has suggested on Patreon that maybe I should do some tutorials for people who only use, or who only want to use or only can use flat bench chisels, which I think is a brilliant idea. I did actually do quite a few classes on Skillshare for that, but I don't really use Skillshare anymore to teach stuff because they made some changes. I didn't really like what they did to the platform. So I would like to do some of those for YouTube so that we can get more people into carving and show just how versatile our chisels and our tools can be. And speaking of Patreon, here is a list of all the fine people who support the channel over on Patreon. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it as always. I know, I'm in the UK and there's sunshine in my videos, right? Weird. But anyway, here's the finished carving. I think it turned out pretty well. I was a bit skeptical about this design when I made it. I didn't know how well the carving would turn out or if it would look a little bit weird, but I actually think it turned out pretty well. If you have any ideas for relief carvings you'd like to see, let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can make a design and get a template made, and then we can all carve these together, which I think would be pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again next time.